Cool. Hey, Kaylee. Hey, Joseph. How's it going, guys?
Good, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Good. Glad to be chatting with you again for Catch the Fair one.
Yeah. Thank you for talking to us again, Daniel.
Yeah. No, I'd actually like to ask first because I don't know when this would come up naturally, but obviously since Tribeca, you had two fights, Kaylee. So I'd love to ask you if has your like hype up announcement changed at all to include actor and co-writer?
The press conferences definitely.
Mm.
Everybody talks about that, and I think Eddie Hearn from Matchroom calls me the famous actress in the movies and stuff. So, it's known. And this is before everybody sees the movie, so everybody's kind of anticipating now. So it's definitely a conversation piece.
Have a lot of I guess your colleagues have they seen the film yet?
There's been a few that saw it when Tribeca was showing it at home, but people are just excited for the trailer and they just can't wait to keep asking me, when is it coming out? Is it on Netflix? I'm like, just wait, just wait. It's okay, it's coming out. So everybody's I don't think many people have seen it.
Lou DeBella.
Lou, yes, my promoter was actually at Tribeca and he saw it. He is like my number one fan. So quite a few people have seen it.
Now, I'd love to also. I was watching our last interview back, and I just remember asking at the end about the band that you have, that the anxiety thing. Can you talk about that again and just kind of how you guys developed that?
Yeah, I mean, being somebody who has anxiety, PTSD, and somebody who needs to be fidgety, just really starting to delve into that character's mindset and kind of knowing that where she was in the point of where I'm playing her is like she's not on drugs anymore, she's trying to stay on the straight and narrow, but she has a lot that goes on in her brain. So I think her brain's going and she has to do something to keep herself from going crazy, kind of a thing. And it kind of developed from my personal, I always had an elastic on me. And I think I was doing it one day and he asked me about it. And I said, no, there's sometimes I do that, but it kind of works for what we're trying to build this character off of. So I really stuck that with her. And that also is a good way that I had to disconnect and connect to her. Just an elastic. When I wasn't playing her, now I don't wear one because I want to use that for her. So, and I used to always, but I just kept that just for the character. And now I don't wear one anymore.
Okay, interesting. Now, your name is obviously your name is Kaylee and your name is KO, and same for your character. So this is what I've been asking a bit lately, and I think that it really fits here. So what are some of the biggest similarities between you and your character, and what are the biggest differences?
The similarities obviously the obvious, the name, the fact that she was a fighter, the fact that she cares very deeply about her siblings. Those are very, very similar aspects. The difference between us is that the spelling of the name, the dream about finding a missing sister. Actually, I gotta say that's probably a similarity too, because even though I don't have any missing sisters, we say all our relations in the indigenous community. So all the women that are still missing, they are like my sisters. So that's another comparison. The way she carries herself and the way I personally carry myself now is way different. I don't walk around feeling ashamed like I used to when I was younger. I've grown out of that and really blossomed into this person I am, this version I am of me now. Being able to sit with things and let it go, whereas this character couldn't let that go. She just can't let it go. I'm able to let things go and get through them and take the lessons learned, not the baggage, where she holds all the baggage. You can just see how she is in her whole demeanor. There's a lot of parallels with that. I don't have an ex-girlfriend named Megan. I have a husband named Brian now. So I mean, there's a couple little things too like that.
Okay, fair enough. Now, just to rope you back in, Joseph, as well. There's like a beautiful story in your film. If either of you want to talk about it, but there's just that scene with the support group for family members of missing indigenous women. Sorry. There's a quote that a man says, "The dreams remind me she's still out there swimming," which I love so much. Can you talk about that scene?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that scene is the emotional anchor of her whole character. I feel like that is really, and it's funny now having shown the film to a lot of people, it seems like that's a really pivotal scene and moment in the movie, because it grounds it like with her and her feeling and the community, but also then she also speaks to her mother. So we're slowly revealing the onion of like how much pain this character's in and how she kind of blames herself in a lot of ways. And in terms of this is going to sound crazy, but that specific dialogue, that specific line, when I was shooting my first film, I shot in Buenaventura, Colombia, and it's an amazing place, amazing special people, but it's a very complicated place, and it has a lot of problems that can be very dangerous. And when I was down there for 10 weeks filming, my mom like wouldn't talk to me, like she refused to talk to me. So she told me about this dream that she had the whole time I was down there, where I was basically like in a river, like trying to swim to one edge of the river, but I just couldn't get there. And so I think it probably spawned a little bit from that. But one theme that we always talked about for the film was the idea of memory, you know, of holding on to someone that you love that is not there anymore, and having glimpses and flashes of how they come into your life. So it was very much a reflection of that, the emotion of that whole scene, and everyone talking, you know.
Okay, great. Now, if either of you want to address this one, just kind of like, I think it's the scene that follows that made me think of just, it's so interesting how you guys depict the grief in the film, how it's kind of all consuming. And a character like Kaylee can be totally neglected by the mom who is focusing so much on helping other people's grief. So, when it's almost like losing a sister and a mother. So can you talk about depicting that?
Yeah, that was probably one of the most difficult but the most cathartic scene. Number one, from going to seeing that whole wall of like wallpaper of the missing girls, and her sister is one of them, and her mother, you know, that's one of her daughters. But this is one person in the one single office that's filled with so many missing, and that's really, I think, even starting it off there to see how massive this issue is. And kind of with love, I think my character was going there because she didn't know what she was getting into. So that's still her mother, and she's almost reaching for the last bit of approval from her mother to maybe possibly get some kind of connection from her mother. But she soon realizes that unless I find my sister, I'm really never going to connect to my mom. So let me just say my last goodbye, kind of a thing, and let it all out there and let her know how I feel, and try to get her to console me as the character. Like, she just wants an okay and acceptance from her mom. So I just think there was so many layers of, she's walking into the lioness's den there, and she has to try to get this approval, and she knows her mom doesn't like the fact that she's gay, doesn't probably like the fact that she was a fighter, and she blames herself for her sister being missing, and she thinks her mom does too, and her mom treats her as such, and she'll even go out of her way to help these strangers, but she doesn't even want to start with her own family. So that's a really, really in-depth scene.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And Kimberly was really great.
Oh, yeah.
She gave a lot during that scene when we were doing it.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Now, I also love to ask, like, obviously, Kaylee, your character is such a fighter. So was it kind of more challenging in acting when she couldn't fight back because she had to infiltrate this like human trafficking ring?
Not necessarily, especially understanding the circumstances and really playing around with what was happening right in that moment.
Sure.
You know, there was a lot of aspects of the character that was in me, but it was easier to play around because this is not a real person. This is a character that I'm playing. So once you get in that mindset, it wasn't hard at all.
Okay. I'd also love to ask the boxing scenes. Joseph, did you have to do like a lot of research for like shooting those training scenes?
I mean, I certainly looked at how boxing was shot in other films and all that stuff. But my research was just hanging out with her all the time and hanging out with a bunch of boxers, and then casting them all in the movie. To be honest with you,
Okay.
you know, Brick, her trainer in the film, she's a world famous boxer as well, Shelly Vincent. So, and they've known each other for a long time. So they're going to be able to rock the mitts solid once they just, you know, work on something, they'll make it look great. And then the guy she spars with is her cousin, Matt. And so
Oh, cool.
he's also already a fighter. He was a cruiserweight.
Yeah, cruiserweight champion. Yeah, and he works my corners now, and he trains me as well and works my corner now.
So
Oh, nice.
you know, so it's like you have, you know, we got, you know, some top-notch people that are very good at their craft, and then you bring in a great stunt coordinator, Chaz Mendez, to just help us kind of work it out. and choreograph and figure it out. And I think yeah, we kind of just figured it out. And I think because basically everyone was a real boxer, it looks like real boxing, so
Yeah, but I found the violence was so realistic.
He jumped at the chance to punch me in my face just for the
Really?
yeah. Yep.
Now, was that like in between takes?
There was one take where him and the store coordinator Chaz had talked about going on 2, not 3. So there's a way to take a punch, and he really hit me. He's like, "No, you can swing. She's gonna take it." And I like didn't move, and I looked at him like, "Oh, you're dead." He's, oh. I'm like, "No, it's not funny," but we got past that.
Okay, just run away. You're
Yeah.
gonna get KO'd. Now, what was it like for you working with Shelly and your cousin there?
It was just another day at the gym. I mean, we hang out. I think even that's what attracted him to having her, because we used to put videos up all the time, so our interaction is just a show in itself. And also with my cousin Matt, he's a big teddy bear, and he's if there's anything for his little cousin, he's gonna try it, he's gonna do it. So it was awesome to get them to have this experience, and this first time experience with me too, some people that I really hold dearly in their family too. So it was just laughing, joking around. I think me and Shelly had the whole cast laughing when we were shooting in the car. Just cracking jokes in between takes. So.
No,
yeah.
Okay, that's great. Now, I'd also love to ask, the gym that you guys shoot in, does that have any career significance, or how did you get that location?
So that gym, so we shot in Buffalo, and so our location scout showed us a couple different gyms. But what was great about that one is it just had a certain feeling to it. It had the skylights. It was like elevated pretty high, so the ceilings were oppressive, and it kind of gave a certain vibe to the space. And then it didn't have any personal connection to Kaylee and her gyms, but our production designers went to Big Six Boxing in Providence and took all their stuff, borrowed all their stuff from her gym, and kind of dressed it in the background of that gym as much as we could, as much as was realistic. So we wanted to try to kind of recreate that a little bit to a certain, very different looking gyms though.
Yeah, there was
Cool.
there's an artist by the name of Mike Ruffino, and he draws everybody in the gym. So I was able to take all those drawings that we have hanging up in Big Six and put them up there, which is this is awesome.
That's amazing. A little bit of home in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Now, I think my last one will be just for you, Joseph. I noticed that you had a lot of TV credits, TV directing credits, and you've done one feature film, as you had mentioned earlier. I'd just love to ask, do you have a preference between TV and film?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's very different. It's a very I look at my films as like they're just, I invest years in trying to make them, and they're really, really like my art, and they're really something I'm trying to express and explore and make bold films, like in the indie film space, you know what I mean? And still trying to find, like, I've only made 2 films, so I'm just working my shit out in my films, but they're sort of like definitely like my art that I keep close to me. Television is amazing, and it's a great opportunity to learn, and of course I'm very blessed and grateful, because it pays my bills, and it allows me to take the time to take so much time off to then try to make these films that I'm trying to make. But honestly, it's a very different, it's different and similar. I mean, filmmaking is directing is the same shit. It's like you have a camera and there's people in front of you. There's the life in front of the camera, and it's kind of all the same stuff. And it doesn't matter if you're on $100 million television show or if you're on our tiny little film. The life in front of the camera is everything. That's what's important. So obviously it's similar in that way. But a lot of times in television, I didn't write the material, so I'm bringing my sort of interpretation as a filmmaker and my taste and sensibilities to it, but I also have to honor something that someone else wrote, and so and figure out how to do that and align to what the show is and the rule, because the show is already, depending, it's different if you do a pilot, right? But if you're doing middle episodes, you're doing a show that's already kind of, its visual language and style has been established, So, but with that said, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity to work with extremely seasoned actors, to work with lots of tools that you'll never have on your small indie film, And then the big one is you learn so much about time, because television directing, you have to shoot so quickly. And that is a really gift to have when you have to make your indie film. So you'll be able to be a little bit more sharp with all that.
Okay, awesome. Speaking of time, I think that was my time. So I'd love to thank you both for taking the time to chat with me about Catch the Fair One. And I'm looking forward to your next collaboration.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Daniel.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks,
as well.
guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Awesome.